Hi, how you all doing? Welcome to second episode of TMR TV. I'll return from a 4-year sabbatical, which was far too long. It's a terrible time with the lockdown and isolation, obviously, here in the UK and around the world. But hopefully we can cheer you up with a few new songs and a little bit of banter. And actually in this episode we have got an artist interview. In this episode of TMR TV, we'll have new music from the likes of Deep Purple, the Rocket Dolls and H.E.A.T. And we'll also be talking to the vocalist of Revival Black, Byrne. And of course, before we go much further, we would love for you to click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, which if you're watching on YouTube is usually somewhere down here, or it might be on this side actually. And if you're watching on Facebook, then get involved with the Facebook page and the Facebook group by clicking join, and we will have lots of good times talking about the rock and roll that we love. So let's crack straight on with a new song from Deep Purple. Long gone are the days of Machine Head and Speaking and things like that. Now they've got a much more contemporary sound. This is a new song called Throw Your Bones, and it's taken from their forthcoming album, which is called Whoosh. The release date has been put back to the 7th of August, but here's the new song. Those melodic rockers from Sweden called H.E.A.T have just released a new album called H.E.A.T, and here's the single from that called Rise. Depending on how the lockdown pans out here in the UK, H.E.A.T are hoping to return for some live shows in 2020. They have been scheduled to appear at Stone Dead Festival in August, as well as the rescheduled dates for their own headline tour, which happens in October. Joined on that tour are bands like Vega, Collateral and Mason Hill. So it looks like a really good lineup. The tour will be playing Leeds, Wolverhampton, London, Swansea and Nottingham. So check online, make sure those dates are still happening. If they are, obviously have a great time, looks like a great lineup. If they're not, then see whether you can hang on to your tickets for the rescheduled shows, or of course seek a refund. Okay, we got some comments on the first show of TMR TV, and you said you guys would be interested in some band interviews, artist interviews, some insight interviews from behind the curtain type industry type stuff. So we're going to kick off with our first interview. This one is with Dan Byrne, lead singer of Revival Black, and in a moment we'll be talking about him joining the band and then the recording of their debut album Step in Line. But just a caveat here, it was our first attempt at recording a remote interview, and you'll see that from our Skype recording I got cropped. You'll only see half my face. I think that may be a good thing, but hopefully we'll improve the technology for next time round. So here we are chatting to Dan Byrne of Revival Black. So on the line we've got Dan Byrne of Revival Black. How you doing, buddy?
Good. You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good.
We're locked in, so we're not going to see each other face to face. It's as good as it gets.
Absolutely.
I suppose in some senses that's a bit of a blessing, isn't it? You don't need to see me face to
I haven't
face.
seen anyone's face in weeks of time.
Okay, well, thanks for joining TMR TV. We've never done this. We've never done a sort of a band interview, have we? We've never really gone into the history of where you're at and what you've done. So let's start there. So
Let's do it.
you know, the band isn't that old, as in its current lineup. You joined an established band called Black Cat Bones.
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Well, so the current lads in the band, I knew them for a long time anyway. It was fate really, because I wasn't playing any music, I wasn't singing, I wasn't playing guitar, I wasn't doing anything for a long time. And on my birthday, Ash, who's the drummer, sent me a message saying, would I be interested in like having a jam with them and seeing where it went, kind of thing. And I was more than happy to, because I was looking for a creative outlet more than anything. And we came down, I ran through a few Black Cat Bone songs at the time. And then by the next practice, the lads kind of went, would you be interested in doing this permanently, kind of thing? And I was absolutely made up. I couldn't wait to be back on the scene again more than anything. Yeah. And literally didn't take long at all. Because I knew the lads off and on already. I went to college with Ash and Jamie as well, so I already knew those quite well. And I just slotted in absolutely perfectly. I was more than happy to be a part of the group.
Yeah. And so that sounds really good. And then you had a collection of songs that were obviously their songs.
Correct.
And involved in previous singers and things like that, and previous lyricists. And so how did that flow? How did it move for you as a singer, coming in, singing somebody else's songs effectively, and then obviously having to find a creative path to write your own?
I think the interesting thing is obviously singers have different ranges. They have different keys that they prefer. And one of the first things that we decided as a band was to go from your standard E standard tuning on the guitar and drop it a full tone to D standard. So that meant it accommodated my voice a lot more to start with, but it also gives a much heavier tone as the whole band plays. So obviously bands like your Blackstone, Cherries, Alter Bridge, they'll tune down and you'll get a much fuller, heavier sound. So that suits where my main vocal sits. So what happened was the older songs that I came in and started to learn, when we tuned them all down, not only did it have a certain vibe that we all started to like and develop, but it also meant that I could basically sing them in my own way or alter them slightly. And then as we got to the live set, the more and more you play songs, as you're probably aware, you'll change certain things live, or like certain inflections of when you're singing or different melodies, and it ends up sticking as part of the songs. So what happened was we took several of the songs that were outstanding towards the path of the album, as well as creating a fair few more and combining them into what we thought was reflect our body of work at the time.
Yeah, and so there were songs that they had that you chose not to go forward with because it didn't suit your style or they weren't strong enough or
Absolutely.
whatever. Yeah.
There are a few songs that I played on the first few shows with them that we didn't play past the first show, for instance. So it was a case of choosing all the ones that stood out to us and thought would work with the new stuff that we were starting to write.
Okay, and so there's a collection of songs on the debut album, Step in Line, and that are yours solely, and some that you've obviously taken on from what was Black Cat Bones. And so how did you get to that song choice then? Was it sort of natural where you'd come up saying, yeah, these are definitely the best songs? Did you record others that didn't quite make the grade with regards to the release, or how did it work for you?
It was honestly quite unanimous in terms of the choices, because we knew the songs we were writing we were really proud of, like your Wide Awakes and You're So Alive, and the first few singles. But then there are a few that stood out that obviously stood the test of time with Black Cat Bones from when they started, and that we were still playing in the set, like for instance like Silverline, that remained, and The River, those kind of songs. And those ones, not only were they making it into the live set and we knew they had a certain energy, they just topped the other ones ever so slightly. And we just thought, honestly, unanimously, that they were all the perfect songs to go on the album. There wasn't much debate, if any, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And so how many songs did we end up on the album?
10 songs on the album.
And were there any leftovers? Were there any sort of banks that didn't quite cut it? You hear songs about Kiss writing 50 songs for an album. Yeah. They probably all sound the same, and they could swap and interchange the lyrics and the melodies. Was that the case with you guys?
No, because I think we had a very clear mindset going in, saying these 10 songs are definitely what we would consider to be on the album. In the rehearsal room, we were playing with all sorts, and we were digging up old riffs and songs, and we were seeing what we could do with them. But in the end, once we'd finally locked down the 10 choices that we were going to go into the studio with, they were the ones that we came out with, which is good in terms of the fact that I think we nailed it pretty spot on when we were going in. We knew those songs had a certain energy to them, and part of that energy was the fact that we recorded the album live. So that is what kind of gave it the same idea as when we're playing in the rehearsal room, when you can go to the studio, do exactly the same thing and come out with something that you'll know how it sounds, rather than adding synths and all sorts of it and create a weird soundscape.
Yeah. And of course, you're not established artists where you've got loads of albums under your belts and loads of studio sessions under your belts. And of course, as a new member to an established band, that's going to give you some comfort, isn't it? To know that this is how we're going to record it. This is what we know. We sort of know how we want it to sound. You're trying to express that to a producer or to an engineer who's never bloody heard of you before. So I get that live feel. How live was it? Was it really the full band recording and then some overdubs, or how did it work?
So literally, with the exception of myself, the other 4 lads went into a room, into the live room. They were, the only person who was separate was Ash in the drum room, but it was literally like a sliding door away, and it's all soundproofed. And then the other 3 lads were playing live, looking at each other, kind of in the room. They were blasting out. We'd mic'd up all of the amps, the whole drum kit, and given the nod, it was kind of Ash does a count in, and then it was straight into the songs. There wasn't any, as far as I'm aware, there wasn't even any guide tracks. I think it was literally just, off Ash's kind of tempo, and he was steady as anything, recording it through, and we literally managed to smash out the 10 songs. Some of the songs we thought would be easier took longer, and some of the longer ones took maybe like 1 or 2 takes, and they're the ones that you can hear on the album at the moment.
So those takes were as a full band. So when somebody messed it up or something didn't quite go right, you do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if someone lost a cue or they went to the verse rather than the chorus or something, we just stopped, try again. And credit to all the lads, it didn't take as long as you'd think it would if that was the case. Because what we do before we went in was we hammered it and hammered it and hammered it. So we made sure that we'd got every single note perfect, basically. We didn't want anyone going to the studio going, hang on, what was it you played there? I didn't know you played that, kind of thing. So
yeah.
So we managed to get it all down pretty well.
And of course, from the live point of view, that must give you some confidence knowing that what you've recorded onto the album can actually be replicated live, no backing tracks. Does that happen? Does that give you that confidence when you go live to go, these are the songs that we know and we live with?
Honestly, yeah, I think the whole idea and the whole vibe of this band was to say we don't want all the random effects coming through the monitors or whatever. We'd rather just let our music speak for itself. So getting onto the stage and being able to actually put out an album that we're proud of, that also translates to a live set with little to no changes in. Maybe does an extra amp used on one of the songs that we don't normally use live, for instance. But that would be the only kind of difference in sounds. And that it is comforting because it's something that we were playing with like weeks before, and then you go in and it's still the same setup with like a different amp or a different guitar. And yeah, it was honestly, it was amazing. Like the whole studio experience, especially recording an album for the first time. Because obviously, as musicians, we recorded EPs or like a single, for instance. But having the creative freedom to be in there for a week straight and just, you know, bang the tunes out and mess around with things, or, you know, let's put delay on that thing, or, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite liberating as a band to be able to create something that you wouldn't usually be able to do.
Good stuff. So, Dan, thanks for taking time to join us.
You're more than welcome, sir.
It's a bit weird us doing a formal interview, I know, but hey, I've just launched TMR TV again, and it's going to be a bit of fun, and we want to give people insight into what musicians are going through, what their creative process is, and hey, better than to start with you.
Thank you very much. Now, I've been looking at all the old interviews as well, and I hope it continues just as successful as it was.
Good stuff, Dan. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
So that's it. It was great talking to Dan. We thank him for his time. And I'm going to leave you with a new song now from the Rocket Dolls, who also have a new album coming out on the 1st of May. And you can pre-order it now from their website, so get involved in that. This song is one of the lead tracks from that. It's called The Grip. I've been Peter Keevil. This has been TMR TV. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you real soon.
I'm letting it slip now.